today we're going to be talking about COVID attendance issues and actually how to track them. And this question actually came out of the Next Gen Women in HR Facebook group. And we're going to give you some tips and tricks on how you can go about managing some of these issues. So first off, now if you're tracking attendance in general, you are already ahead of the game. That's the good news, all right? Make sure though that if you have somebody who's going out on leave for COVID, that you are using a COVID pay code to track that time. And that'll be the same thing as it represents EFMLA as well, okay? Those qualified COVID-related absences need to be effectively tracked. Also, all COVID, when it comes to COVID, treat employees must provide you with a doctor's note that clearly documents the reason for such of an absence and the return date with or without restrictions. So you need the documentation for a couple reasons. Number one, you don't want to make the assumption that somebody should be paid under the COVID codes because they're just out. You actually need to have that backup documentation. That's an IRS regulation so that you guys can go ahead and get that dollar for dollar tax refund through your 941 submissions, so that tax credit comes in and everything gets paid. Otherwise, you're going to wind up eating 2 weeks of an employee's pay. Okay. Also, if it is a non-COVID related absence, or if you're having absentee issues in the new COVID world, all right, you're going to need to address it head on. That means that you're going to have to update your attendance policies to make sure that they match this new COVID world. All right. You want to communicate expectations on attendance consistently with your employees, and that means that you actually have to get your managers to communicate expectations on attendance in this COVID environment. Okay. Hold your employees accountable. All right. Monitor their PTO usage and their balances. If they haven't been taking PTO and they're eligible to do so, then make sure that they take their PTO, especially if it's a non-COVID related issue, okay? Don't allow employees to keep that monetary liability on your books by letting them take unpaid leave. It's an imbalance to your process and your policy, and not to mention, not everybody is being afforded the luxury and the opportunity of doing that, and that inconsistency is bad, okay? Track COVID absences for emergency sick leave and EFMLA by using a spreadsheet that identifies the days that they have gone out, the day that they return, and how much of that emergency paid sick leave or that qualifying 10 weeks of EFMLA leave that they have left that's available to them. Now, if you do those things, that's going to make life a lot easier.